for me as an Aboriginal person, often people will say, well, what do you do? And they don't mean what I do every day when I go to work. It's about the contribution that I make. So as an Aboriginal person, I have a unique opportunity to shape and to influence the kind of country that we become through the work that I do. It means that I have the opportunity to influence the flow of resources into communities for particular priorities, and to be able to bring together the priorities and things that are important to our communities and the actions of government to be able to address those.
As a person in the public sector, I chose to come and work for government because it's such a powerful apparatus in our countries. And so, should government be great and good for Indigenous people? I believe they should be. And if Indigenous people are not part of that, then some of it might be theoretical. And so I think it's really great that we are making conscious choices, that this is a place where we can make a positive difference and not be bystanders in the experience, but change agents in their experience.
I came into the police force because I had such an overwhelming desire to serve my personal community, that is the Nunga Aboriginal community of South Australia and those who visit it. I'm a Cookatha woman from the west coast of South Australia, and for me it was just being that face in the community that people could come to at a time where they're most desperate, destitute and are at need. Once I became sergeant, I really struggled with, am I working at my full capacity in serving the Aboriginal community versus am I working at full capacity in just simply serving the community?
I've made a career out of the public service, and being Aboriginal in the public service, mostly focused on Aboriginal affairs, quite clearly for me is about how do I make government work for the Aboriginal community?
For me, both in terms of my own interests as an Indigenous person who's involved in some specific research on the interaction between culture and our policy-making system, to understand that our system is a cultural artefact. It's not, it's treated as though it's the natural order of things, but it actually is a system that's been created from a particular cultural perspective that just happens to be non-Indigenous, and it's, Western and Anglo-Saxon in particular. And that's important because when you understand that, you then start to see how that system then interacts with people who don't come from that cultural perspective. And you start to think about, well, gee, how might we be able to change things? If you just think that you're a part of a system that is the natural order of things, then why would you bother changing it? It's just, it's the way things are and the way things always will be.
When you're looking at heritage, land, you're looking at fisheries, not just the stereotypical education, health and judiciary system, but every industry that's out there in government can be influenced for the better by Indigenous people bringing to the foreground what they do best, and that is seeing things differently.
If I am being a good public servant, I actually am bringing to the table the complex discussions and understandings that have to happen around Aboriginal affairs, the deeper understanding of what's the long story for the Aboriginal community, not just the short-term problems we have to fix.
I am about trying to build confidence of particularly Māori people who come and work for government, to remind them that it's okay to be who they are, that when they turn up to work they are bringing not just them personally. I'm hopeful that they have some insight about their people, their own upbringing, the experiences that their families and their whānau have gone through over time, because that's a real essence of being able to put themselves in their shoes. If we're unable to put ourselves in their shoes, then actually we're studying people, not understanding people.
As Indigenous people, relationships are absolutely central to how we understand ourselves and how we operate in the world. And whilst it's a popular myth for people to think about the public service as rigidly structured and hierarchical, most of our work, in fact the really important work, doesn't get done on the basis of position and structure. It's an important authorising environment, to be sure, But the really important and powerful pieces of work get done on the basis of networks and relationships and people knowing people and being able to then in that context negotiate a good outcome or have a difficult conversation or call on resources that you might need across boundaries. And so our ability to operate in what might be called soft skills, I think, is unparalleled.